We got her on record,
Oh, okay.
but there'd be no face recognition.
Oh, okay.
We don't have to be discreet.
Good.
We don't have to be polite.
I ain't. Hammer.
We just want to be ourselves.
That's it.
Do you believe that this curse has fell upon to the world because the world was so out of line? Listen to me before you speak up. The world was so out of line pertaining to the greed, the corruption, the wickedness that's been going on, not just in the line of terrorism, but I mean our churches, our Catholic churches, our political officials. And it's not just here in America, it's all over the world. If this did not happen, Ray, I truly believe that we was at the brink of an implosion. In other words, I think that God was fixing to end it. And the reason why I say that, based around the scripture, for he said that it would be easier for heaven and earth to pass. And I don't know if you realize the tremendousness of that statement or not, but it would be easier for heaven and earth to pass than for one little bitty jot or for one little bitty tittle of the word thy God to fail. Which tells me that if things do not go appropriately as they have already been predicted, not with Juby's words, but with the words that's been recorded in the Bible, probably centuries, maybe thousands of years ago, pertaining to the prophets, that God would rather dissolve the whole thing than for one itty bitty part of it not to fulfill itself. And if it's been told by the prophets of God, which was inspired by God, and as far as I'm concerned, the Lord Jesus Christ was God in the flesh. He was the Lord. If it did not go according to the way that it was supposed to have gone, God was fixing to erase the planet and the universe as you and I are familiar with right now. And you may say, oh, God never would have done that. You better back up. You better look what God's done to other cultures during other generations. If you don't think that he'll do that, you know, we've been taught throughout our lifespan that God is a God of love. God is a God of mercy. God is a God of forgiveness. God is all surrounding, the omnipotent agape of this great creation, which you and I are a part of. But so is those birds out there. So is those plants. So is the stars. So is everything. The fish, the mammals, everything. We're all part of God's creation. And it was Satan that entered into God's creation that stained it, corrupted it, or contaminated it. And that's the reason why we are going through pain and agony, and we hurt, and we have horror in our lives, and we eventually are going to have to die in this physical flesh, is because of Satan. Not because of God, but because of the works of Satan that has fallen upon the humanity. So I truly believe, and you may not believe this, but if God did not allow for this pandemic to come up onto society, and it just didn't hit just here in America, it's hit all over the world, unlike anything that we've ever seen before. And I guess it's because of all the modern day sophistication of the cameras and technology of internet and everything else. But it's unlike anything. I mean, there's been like almost 3 million people that's died over this stuff just within the past few months. But I truly believe that he has allowed it to come about. And it's not that God himself is doing it, but what he basically done, Ray, he lifted the umbrella of protection, a certain amount of protection off of the earthlings, which is give or take about 8 billion right now. It's a staggering amount of people that's on the planet right now. But he lifted that umbrella of protection and said to Satan, all right, Satan, sick 'em. They've been knocking on your door for all this time. They haven't showed their appreciation towards me like they should, towards biting the hand that's been feeding them. I've been protecting them all this time. Now sick them. In other words, Satan is out to kill, steal, and destroy. And now we've seen the work of Satan because God has allowed it. God hadn't actually done it, but he allowed it. In other words, he could have prevented it. He could have stopped it, but he didn't. And the reason why he didn't is because he was trying to show us a lesson. And you can call it tough love. You can call it immoral. You can call it unhumane. But whenever God gets enough of it, son, he gets enough of it.
I agree, but I also believe this is the same thing that happens over time for ages. You see, we've had flus now that have came from China, the SARS, the Asian, the bird flu, or whatever this other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all come from the same region and is infested. To me, I think maybe they're trying to destroy America as such. I know that we're living in sin every day, and I think that when I look at California and I look at New York, and I say, well, is that Sodom and Gomorrah? Is that where all the bad things has been happening? Did they not sort of deserve what they got? That's bad to say, but he destroyed that. I mean, I don't read up on it like I need to, but that's a similarity. Other than they was gay and immoral that way. I think that
I think we're committing worser acts right now than what they did in Sodom and Gomorrah, and the reason why is because we're more sophisticated in a society today than what they was back then.
Yeah.
They had doctors, but it wasn't near the technology
Right.
and near the sophistication of today.
Right.
Do you have any idea how many children America alone has aborted
That's
and
exactly
killed
right.
just within the past since they have
But-
Wade versus Roe or Roe versus Wade?
Have you seen though that during this that they wanted to keep those things open to kill instead of
Sure.
and they shut.
That's a necessity.
Oh no,
It is to the beast.
Yes, it is.
To the
But it ain't-
beast it
but
is.
It ain't to us.
Huh?
It ain't to the common.
It ain't to the God. It ain't to the. It ain't to
God
the
believing people.
to the God serving people.
Right. So that's what I say on a lot of things. You see, we have lived through lots of things,
But never
and we've always been a person or a country of
faith.
right, and faith in ourselves too, faith in our doctors, whatever we had, like
Right.
the yellow fever graveyard over yonder. See, that was a pandemic of its own.
Sure.
They was going to bury some more people in there several years ago, and they decided if they dug that up, they would disturb something they shouldn't disturb, which is the death germs that could come out of that cemetery. Check into it. It's just hearsay and
Never know.
never know. And I think, like I said, I think
When did that happen?
it's not been long ago.
That
When they was wanting-
was right around the Civil War era, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know about
Or
that.
before the
Farmer,
Civil
Mr.
War era?
Farmer is the man that's buried there, Mr. Farmer, and that cemetery right there going into town.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's called Yellow Fever Graveyard. Since
Yeah, yellow fever grave
yeah.
cemetery.
And they buried several people there, but the more they dug, the more they spread, so they quit. And they said, "Don't do it anymore," you know. And
Well,
like
that
I
was
said,
that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was before Martin was called Martin.
Well, it could have been.
It was
have been.
called Frost,
I don't know.
the town of Frost,
Could have
originally before it was called Martin.
Could have been. I don't know.
Now,
You-
this
you're
town
right.
here was founded in 1901. That's
Sure.
what it says out there on your little sign.
Yeah, but somebody was here before that. 1901, whatever.
Does it say 1901?
I don't know. This old house was built in 1903, I think. But this ain't no first house, by no means. I don't remember exactly what the founding says out there on the board.
I thought it may have said 1801.
Nah, I don't think so, but it might have been.
Well,
I don't think it was here either.
America was founded in 1776,
Yeah.
and there's supposedly some grave sites between here and Paris of some original Revolutionary War soldiers that died during the 1776 war.
Don't doubt it. They come in and see North Carolina and places like that. They came in. That's where we were settled through here.
Right.
And that's where they got together. And like you used to say, there was, like in your family, might have been 16 girls, and in my family, 16 boys.
Right.
So they went to barn warmings and everything else, and so you got to be
Sure.
kin folks.
Sure.
And you came out of about the same.
They actually merged from Palmersville to Dresden before they did from Dresden to Sharon, and from Sharon on west. They actually come out of Palmersville because the little town of Palmersville, before the railroad come in here, was actually a town. It was an established town,
and a logging community. Like
and
that.
I'm going to tell you who throwed the monkey wrench in on the deal towards killing the town. It was the very man that become the governor of the state of Tennessee.
Oh, no.
His family was from there. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
They got a statue of him right up there in Dresden.
Oh, McQuarter?
Yeah, McQuarter.
I don't doubt that either.
His family owned a big piece of property there in Palmersville. And Illinois Central Railroad was going to come from Paris and come straight through Palmersville on their way to Union City.
But he wouldn't let them.
And they wouldn't let them. So what Illinois Central had to do, they had to leave from Paris and go from Paris to Dresden, and then from Dresden to Martin, and then from Martin to Union City. I've looked at it. I've looked at the railroad.
Good.
Okay?
Good.
And that's what put Martin on the map because of the railroad. You know as well as I do.
Every
They
little
followed the river at first, and then they followed the railroad.
That's right. Well, that's why Sharon evolved as such. The railroad used to stop here.
That's right.
We had strawberries, potato plants,
Right.
potato plants, stuff like that. But see,
Right.
when it left and they quit stopping, it died.
Well, not only that, but since they built the bypass that they didn't bring directly through Sharon, Sharon has almost turned into a ghost town.
Well, they should have brought it through Sharon. They should have destroyed all that old shit that's come apart down there.
You got that right.
But you can't tell them that. This people.
You got that right.
People
They
here.
should have brought that 4-lane right on through here, just like they did Greenfield.
When the Robertses
Don't they got a 4-lane in Greenfield?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Through
Somebody stopped that progression, and I'm pretty sure it was probably either the Robinsons or the Mounts. They're already dead and gone now, whoever it was. But whoever it was stopped that project from going through Sharon.
Roberts did. Roberts family.
Think so?
And they wrote the city. They wrote the history.
The covenant of city, the city covenant.
The city history, but it was on their terms.
See, I was told this little old Fred's dollar store down here, originally before they moved in over here.
No, not the
Not
dollar
Fred's,
store.
the Dollar
Yeah.
Tree over here. They originally was going to rent out and renovate a building right here in Sharon.
Can you do that?
And they had so much trouble with the city officials.
Yes.
They decided to go out that way and just build them a building.
And you know who owned the property?
I don't have a clue.
Alexander,
Marvin,
one of them.
the auctioneer.
Both of them's involved.
The auctioneer?
The city mayor is a family member of
The Alexanders.
Alexander's.
Really?
Yes. But anyway, they wanted to go and see the city of Sharon years back.
But see, wouldn't that have been a big benefit for it being right downtown here?
Yes, but there's no place to put it. Who owned the town? Go down the street and tell me how many of them was Roberts. Yes, sir.
Could they not have put it right there where the Reynolds Brothers gas station used to be? You remember the Reynolds Brothers right there? What was his name? On this side, done mechanic work. On the other side too. Both of those gas stations would have been a perfect spot.
Well, Hired Betts had
Higher Betts,
Yeah.
the Bettses.
But see, they let it run down. The Jones guy bought it, and he bought the Sinclair right beside it. Because nothing. On this side, the Joneses had this side. That had
See,
Logan.
the sad thing about all this, Ray, this is the point I'm trying to make. And it's not just about the pandemic. It's
Yeah.
not just about that. It's about our children and our grandchildren and our children's
They don't
children that are not going to have no future
They don't care.
in these smaller little towns that
right
are
down
drying up and
look down
blowing
sticking up in
away.
the air. Looks like a man standing up there. Look at that.
Right?
That was bought for junk, and it's still there by a guy from Palmersville or whatever.
That feed mill,
It's supposed to have been tore down.
that was supposed to have been that was a feed mill.
Yeah.
That was a feed mill, and then they turned it eventually into a thing where you haul beans and stuff out of there.
Yeah.
Because I remember whenever we used to farm the old Love place down here. You remember the Love
Yep.
place on the other side of the cemetery over there?
Yes, sir. Ellis Love.
Yes, I loved them to death. And they was good with animals. And they loved everybody.
Black people.
Black people.
Mhm.
And
He's the one that started me into plumbing. He
and
said,
I
we need one.
I can remember whenever we used to haul beans from Mr. Love, right from farming it on his little property right there, and hauling it right over there and selling it.
You see where that?
Over there in behind Mr. Mouse, over there in behind the IGA.
You see where those two pads are right down there where those trucks park?
Yeah,
There was a place that you backed up and put your corn, and in those places they ground it and made your feed.
that's right.
And it's a big old vat. You just scooped it
What
in.
did this building right here contain of at one time originally? This red building, this
Right
red
there?
brick building
That
right
was
here.
our ag shop years ago. The old school.
That was built as
Yes, sir.
just for the ag shop.
Yes, sir.
Was that after both burns, after the school burnt and
Yeah.
then the gym burnt?
Yes, the gym was over there.
Or the gym burnt first, right?
Gym.
No, the school burnt first.
Over yonder.
School burnt first,
See,
and then the
this
gym
big-
burnt.
The gym's over this way, side of this, just like that one.
Yeah.
The old big high school was in the middle. The grammar school was on the end.
See, I never graduated.
I went from here. I graduated from right there.
You did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not particularly that I wanted to, but it's the only thing. They closed Sidonia up 8th grade.
That's right.
See,
That was in
up.
'67, I think.
They ended that.
What
No,
year
no,
did you graduate in?
Before that, 65.
'65.
Yeah, I come up here when.
So they done already shut Sidonia School down in '65,
Oh yeah.
but the post office was still there, right?
No,
Or not the post office, the telephone directory,
no.
AT&T, Ma Bell.
Neither one of
Ma
them.
Bell was still there.
Neither one of them except that little bitty building that was right across from behind Tunkin Elliott's pool room and service station. That's on a little building been there. The old switchboard
Switchboard.
was down here. Down
Was
down-
it?
Yeah, but it's been out for years and years and years and years. And when that post office was down there, let's see, what was his name? The old man running the store. Atkins Hawkins? Was it Atkins or who was it?
Yeah,
One of them, I forgot. Right there he was on the left-hand side.
yeah.
Just you went in the middle of Sidonia, and then the mill was up there where the fire department is, and the sign for that mill was sitting out there with Joyce Horn. That was her daddy.
Really?
Yes, Mitchell.
Uh-huh.
Sign out there right beside of her shed out there.
But me and you in our lifetime, I can remember my grandmother, and I don't remember much about my grandfather.
I can remember 3 or 4 stores in Sidonia.
I remember both of my grandmothers talking about how that the Spanish plague was bad, and my grandmother caught polio, and she got a bad limp out of it
Another
because
thing.
they didn't have an antidote for polio until in the 50s.
That's the reason I say.
Until the 50s.
But somebody, lots of times, puts this situation like we've got now.
You think it's
in
done
the focus.
purposely?
Yes, sir. I believe it's been tried for the last several times.
You think it's done in a
Lab.
containment lab?
Yes.
In other words,
They're trying to see what would kill is those things, the
Help
monkeys,
to
the
kill-
mice, and everything else.
help to kill the population out, population control.
Yeah. Let me tell you one thing now. You remember 7 kill?
Uh-uh.
We used to call 7 kill. Used to buy it. Farmers could buy it for these.
Yeah.
wolves and-
For killing rats,
coyotes.
coyotes.
Well, you put it on a piece of meat and you'd kill that coyote.
Right.
Then if
And I
buzzard
guess
ate
you
it,
can still get that. Can you not?
You can probably if you had license enough and the right person. But I tell you what to do. You kill the coyote with a piece of meat. He will never get the piece of meat to eat. He'd exsanguinate completely. eyes, nose, ears, everything. Boom. See it happen? Well, let's suppose. See that water tower right yonder?
Uh-huh.
Back in my youth, I'd have crawled up on that damn thing. I did up at, as you said, the fire tires up at Dresden and on up through there. We used to get our girlfriends and crawl up on that. You know, feeling the way up.
Yeah.
But anyway, you crawled up there, let's say, and I want to destroy half this town.
Oh, Lord.
All you do is just pour it in there. You wouldn't have to have much, because that just goes like half the town. The other one's right up here on the hill. It goes to another half the town.
Oh, Lord.
So you could destroy half, but how would you find it out until it's done happened? And then how would you find out who done it? Well, so-and-so bought that stuff down yonder, and he got a court. That's enough to do it.
Well, do you keep up with the national news a lot?
No, I do and I don't. The thing about that is we have so many reporters
Yeah.
that don't care. And as Trump says, they're fake news.
Well,
They
it's,
tell it and then they back off of it
Well,
and then they
it's-
say we didn't do it.
it's conflicting. It's conflicting, the way that they report it, and it depends on who's doing the reporting
That's exactly right.
towards what type of edge that they're going to throw on it.
Hey, look
But-
at this company that they went out of business here lately that just bought up all the pork stuff. Smithfield, bought by China. Bought by, they're one of the best meats you could get because we had farmers that had the hogs and everything else. Well, then they took it and they sent it over there and they processed it and they sent it back. So what can you do in a situation like that? I'm surprised Tyson Chicken, and one Tyson Chicken plant went down on this.
Tyson Chickens had to shut down a lot of their factories
I'm
because of the coronavirus.
That's what I'm saying. So where you think things come through? See, when you eating and
But the point I'm trying to make is, you know that Kim Jong-un or
Oh, yeah.
whatever his name is over in North Korea?
for life, man for life, he don't care.
Well, he's been threatening the world basically with nuclear armament now for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah.
And he was telling
He's done.
our president throughout the month of November, during a time whenever we had all those hearings
Mm-hmm.
and went from hearings to a trial pertaining to the impeachment trial.
Oh yeah.
He was telling Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was interpreting these letters as them being love letters.
Yeah.
He
as
never
such.
did actually read any of the letters out to the public, but we was supposed to have gotten a Christmas present long about Christmas time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, our
see-
intel thought because he's so crazy over there that he was going to wind up popping off another ballistic missile
Right.
with possibly a nuclear head on it coming over towards Hawaii. And is it possible that he or somebody like him or somebody in his
yeah. Well,
could
think
have
about that.
possibly
Think about
went over to one of those wet markets
Think
and
of-
purposely set off this daggum
I
coronavirus
don't
disease?
believe it ever
Because
went
if
to
you
the
look
wet
at North Korea from China, it's not but about 1,000 miles.
I don't think
you
that the
can
wet-
drive it in a day.
I don't think the wet market had nothing to do with it. I think that was a
An excuse?
excuse. Yeah, because they eat dogs, cats, possums,
Oh.
anything else that runs across the road.
Yeah.
They eat them. Okay, so that don't even feed. Don't even think.
Probably eat each other.
Yes.
Probably cannibalism over there.
If you could really depend on things happening when they back during
And
the
they
wars,
eat raw fish, they eat squid, they eat possum,
They
they eat carp,
they could-
they eat carp.
they eat us. The carp did. Remember?
Carp didn't eat us.
Yes, it did.
How'd the carp eat us?
Well,
Carp don't eat people.
wait a minute. Look at the
The
same-
farmers got the carp to put them in the pond to clear the
Over
ponds
here.
up.
Over
But
here.
then whenever the flood waters got out,
Whenever
the carp got out and they got in the river, and now the Tennessee River's contaminated by
carp.
carp.
Right. But you look at what you eat for what they call here in America catfish. What is it? Tilapia.
Okay.
They eat our bodies. That's what they eat in Vietnam and elsewhere. When they throw them in them damn sloughs and the shit ponds and stuff like that, that's the way they grow them. That's where they grow a lot of their stuff, is out of the shit ponds.
Really?
Well, they shit in. Where do you think they shit? They have no bathroom. It runs down to big old ponds and shit from these towns and whatever. It's almost like France and
Dishumane.
yes, don't care.
I know their smokestack industry towards the carbon dioxide that they pump up into the atmosphere. They're one of the biggest poisoners of the earth over there in China right
But
now.
what did our stupid people want to do? We don't cut us down to nothing. We don't need to have anything like that. Well, what do you think the earth does?
It goes around and around.
And when it does, it collects theirs. So how in the hell you're going to make theirs? So why cut your own throat,
But what
try
I'm-
to protect them?
Well, not only that, but you're not allowed to have but one child over there. And if you have more than one child, they'll knock it in the head and they'll kill it right there in
Yeah.
front of you.
Well,
And they was saying on the news this morning that the statistics of what China gave pertaining to their fatalities is probably off up to 50%.
Exactly. That's what I was fixing to tell you. They showed a bunch of damn bulldozers working out there. And they showed bodies or body bags like they did back in the foreign times in the wars. Bulldoze the bodies off. And whose name is that? Hell, who knows? We don't need them.
I was told that the incinerators over there went
Yeah.
burning 24/7,
Yeah.
7 days a week, nonstop,
still-
and they still couldn't get rid of the dead bodies quick enough.
That's the
So
way it
there,
goes.
so I think it was purposely
I
done
do.
for two reasons. Two reasons. China was having an uprising
Yes, they're people.
that had all in their own country
But they
among
killed
their
them.
own people
Yeah, that's where they can kill them. That's the reason
That-
they marked them with that damn spray.
that
Spray
had,
you purple and they'll find you at your house.
that had almost reached the level of civil war over there.
Yeah.
Almost.
But then,
And then we had, and you can say what you want to say about North Korea, but as far as I'm concerned, you can shake them up in a bag and drop them out, and they're all going to come out the same.
exactly. You can't
Now,
trust them.
South Korea claims that they have a great deal of love for us, and they are smart people,
Who
and they
knows?
do have more compassion towards humanity
Yes.
than North Korea or
Yes.
China. But who's to say? I mean, they was already prepared with all their test equipment, and I
Yes.
don't think the whole nation over there in South Korea only had like 100 and something deaths.
Well,
And everybody brags about how come. Well, they was just Johnny on the spot, man.
Yes.
They had this going on and
they,
that
they
going
threw
on.
it back then to Trump. Says,
Could
well,
it-
you ought to know. No.
Was
you don't
it
know
possible that they got an inside connection pertaining to it fixing to happen, and
Yes.
they was already pre-prepared?
What happened to the scientists that was working on it?
They was already pre-prepared.
What happened to the scientists that's working on it?
They got fired.
No.
No, they got killed.
They don't know where they're at.
Right. The one doctor that died that was trying to tell everybody how bad it was, they wound up making him sign a piece of paper. They arrested him,
Yeah,
but he wound up dying over the
They
coronavirus.
give it to him. See, all that bunch that was in there in that lab are dead. There's nobody to tell the story. The only way to destroy a story is to destroy the people that are in the story.
It was
It's just-
intentionally set.
Yes. I think that very much so.
I do too.
But I'm not that kind of person just sit around and say, well, they did it because they wanted us. But they did it because we were coming up. Look at how much stock markets and everything else is coming up. You know, you say, well, all these rich people getting rich. Yes, they do. But let me tell you something.
But that's been going on since the beginning of
I
time.
want to work for a rich person because he can pay me. You can't work for a poor person because he can't pay you. I got checks in yonder now.
Exactly.
Rubber. As you're going to say, rubber. I'm waiting for the first of next month. Didn't know it till I done it.
Right.
So you think I want to do
People
that?
buying you, people giving you bad
Yeah.
cash, rubber checks.
That's it. And see, that's when I say, I believe all this. Look back, you check back on your credentials as you can, and you look like I said, the SARS, all these damn flus. And last year we had 19,000 people died of plain old flu. Plain old flu. So see, when you can't tell a difference, and that's what we're gonna get a blame for, when they got these damn nursing homes.
Well, let's
And-
stop
and
for a
they're
second.
dying.
Let's stop for a
Okay.
second. Let's back up.
Okay.
Let's go back.
Okay.
Let's go really far back. Let's go back 2,000 years whenever Jesus was walking the planet.
All right. What happened? What happened to the? what happened
Whenever
over there?
Jesus was walking the planet, they had a pandemic going on back
That's
then.
right.
That was called leprosy.
Right.
And if you caught it, you know what they done to you?
Put you on an island.
They put you in a cave somewhere.
Yeah,
And if
island.
you made it through it, that was good. And if you didn't make it through it, that was good too.
But you see,
But my point being is this. Even Jesus said that in the last days that plagues and pestilences and all these crazy stuff is going to happen. And I don't know if it's being done intentionally.
Yes.
I don't know that it's being done supernaturally, but I just know it's being done, and I feel like that it's being done, Ray, for a purpose that we are supposed to watch the signs and prepare ourselves and to try to live according to the Bible, because there's not but one thing that's going to protect me. I don't care if I'm falling off of a building. I don't care if I've swallowed a poisonous pill. I don't care if somebody's shooting at me. There ain't but one thing that's going to protect me, and that's the Holy Spirit that dwells with me and around me, because Jesus said in His words, He said, "For if you drink of anything deadly, it shall not harm you." Now that doesn't mean to go out here and purposely
That's what
drink
I'm saying right
cyanide.
there. That's
It
the
doesn't mean
difference.
for you to handle a bunch of
That's
damn
it.
rattlesnakes
There it
just to
is.
prove God
That's
to
it.
be powerful.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
whenever you're talking about a supernatural entity, regardless whether it's a supernatural entity that represents good or a supernatural entity that represents bad, these things are real.
the reason we were given a mind is to make decisions that were to be right or wrong. The little man sitting up here says, don't go ahead, jump off the building. You'll bounce. How many bounces have you seen? So see, the difference being there, you're given that choice. And people, and I don't believe we're not the end of the world. We will never know when the end of the world is. It will not be at a signpost. The end of the world's right here. It will happen.
Says that no man knoweth.
No man knoweth.
No man knoweth. But
That's what I'm
I tell you one thing that we can stand on. Jesus said that I will be with thee even until the ends of this earth.
Exactly.
In other words, the Holy Spirit will be with man here upon to the earth until Gable blows that trumpet. And whenever God returns back,
Yes.
He's going to return. He's going to come back with an attitude. I don't know if people realize that or not, but whenever He comes back the second time, He's coming back with an attitude.
But it'll be an attitude towards those that have went against Him.
That's right.
Those
That's
that are
right.
for Him,
He's-
He's going to take them right through them.
Those that are for Him, He's going to take us out of this.
Right.
Regardless of if we've already done died and we're laying in the graves,
That's right.
or rather not, we're alive and well during the time that He actually comes, because it says that He will gather together the elect from the four corners of the earth.
Let's see what I mean.
But as He's gathering the elect from the four corners of the earth, He's also going to bring great retribution upon to society, because
Those that are alive.
He says that He will come back in a flame of fire, taking vengeance upon them who know not God and upon them who obey Him not. In other words, all these structures that you're seeing, it doesn't matter if it's residential or commercial,
Right.
these things will be burnt down to the ground, because He said the next time that He destroys this planet, He will not do it with water. He will do it with fire and brimstone.
Think of that as we was talking a while ago. Not the parasites, not the diseases, not nothing. But the fire will consume those that are bad, and He comes after.
Yes.
So I don't believe. Actually, I say I believe that we are given.
So we're
these-
not actually at the end.
No.
But we are seeing the signs of it coming closer
It's,
and
it's
closer
exactly
every day.
like when you were
The
born.
clock is ticking backwards,
Yes.
ain't it?
Yes.
It's going backwards.
But you know, the day you were born is the first day you died.
Sure.
So see, even though you say, "Oh, I want,"
It don't matter if you live to be 9 or 90.
That's right. That's
The first day that
of
you're
death.
born,
You're dying.
your
Dying.
biological clock starts running backwards
That's
at that
the way.
point.
That's the way it is, and that's why we have to look at it in
Sure.
those things too.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Most people, once we've exceeded our age, and you're a little older than me, you claim
I've
that
got
you
my
was,
10.
right. You done
Plus.
got your 10 in.
That's good. But He didn't say we guarantee you 10. He says some will reach that age, didn't He? And some will reach older. And think about those that back in the time.
But let me ask you this. Most people that reaches our age,
Mm-hmm.
they want to look back in their youth, in their life, and ask a simple question: What was the hell was all that about? Why did I live the life that I lived? In other words, they want to think that their life had some sort of meaning, some sort of purpose, some sort of, I mean, I don't know about you, but I would like to be remembered as being a good guy, not a crazy guy, not a mean guy, not a rough cut guy, maybe not necessarily an educated guy, but I would like to be remembered as a nice guy, a good guy. But the way that everybody has told all these lies about me, Ray, I don't know that I'll be remembered. I think that I will be remembered as being a madman.
The way.
In other words, whenever they write me up in the history books, they're going to say, well, this guy was a nut.
How many have you outlived? How many?
Many.
Okay. Those people will never say anything anymore, will they?
No.
They cannot carry on these things that you hear or heard mainly.
Pertaining to the
you.
The propaganda.
Yes.
The propaganda, nothing but lies. A propaganda machine.
It's like I said, I want to live to be 100 and pee on all them graves
that degraded you and cut you and hurt you and lied about
that's
you.
Not ugly. It's just saying the point.
Yeah.
You can say anything. But I feel that way, and I feel like these pandemics or whatever you want to call it, people ostracize. They use that for a political reason, and it should not be. It's like the church shouldn't be political. Don't worry about the church. I'm voting for so and so. That's your personal belief, just like your Jesus is. But you put your Jesus out there. You don't put your political belief. And I might be.
Well, this country's bad about politicizing everything.
Well, they don't need to. That's what's wrong with it. If they leave it alone, live the life.
Well, they're trying to politicize this coronavirus.
That's right now.
This COVID-19. They're trying to politicize it.
Trying to say Trump did
it. And it all comes down to life or death, right or wrong.
Yes. But here's the thing about anything. As long as you've got a bunch of people, let's say, for instance, Chicago comes this way. If they got the pandemic there in Illinois, when they come through here, when they handle a gas can, put it in the car, you're going to get the stuff. If within minutes or whatever.
You will if you don't have the Holy Spirit protecting you.
You might
You got to have the Holy Spirit protecting you. And you also got to use wisdom towards keeping your hands clean and maybe putting a mask on or whatever.
I say about your mind.
In other words,
don't jump off the building because you're taking the big chance.
That's
the
right.
Lord didn't tell you to take chances.
In other words, don't go get a batch of it and throw it in your bed linens and then crawl up in the bed thinking, well, ain't nothing going to happen to me.
Lord's going to take care of me. No, he won't. I don't think he will in a situation like that. I think he still loves you and he will. You are a Christian and he will have you. But if you want to pass away from this world, the old saying is, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
That's right.
And that's really the truth.
Oh, absolutely.
Because nobody has come back and told us that they would believe from the dead.
That's right.
Okay, so see.
And Jesus said that even if one did, the unbelievers wouldn't believe.
That's right.
The doubters would still be doubting Thomases.
That's it. That's the thing. See,
so you can talk, and you can talk to them until we're black and blue in the face, and they're still going to believe and do what they want to do.
To believe. You're the idiot, in other words. We're just listening to you because we don't want to know. But the thing of it is, right is right, wrong is wrong. 2 and 2 is 4. It's not 7. Now all these
that's the reason why the Bible said to study to show thyself approved.
Yes.
It didn't say you had to go to college. It didn't say you had to go to Moody Bible College.
No. But if you want to, you can.
You can. Yes. But probably over half of the little small town churches, probably half of them don't have educated preachers in them that's got qualifications hanging on their walls.
Right.
But it says to study thyself to be approved and to rightly divide the scriptures.
Right.
You see, where they come up against me at, where they didn't like me at, where they throwed me under the bus, is because I rightly divided the scriptures and I had interpreted the scriptures differently than what they had interpreted the scriptures. And because, listen to me carefully, because I was the messenger, didn't have nothing to do with the message. The fact of the matter is, they didn't like the message that was coming out of Jesus Christ. during the time that Jesus Christ preached his message. But you know what? Instead of attacking the message, they attacked the messenger. And they thought by attacking the messenger that the message would go away. Guess what? The message got even more so. Jesus become more powerful after his death than he did his life.
That's what I'm saying.
You hear what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
He become more powerful after his death than he did his life.
Right.
And which leads me to this final question. In this frame of thought, is it possible that my message will become more powerful after my death than my life ever thought about? Because you can look at Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Martin Luther King, he was not the civil rights doctor or
Made a lot of mistakes.
made a lot of mistakes, but he did not become as predominant in his life as he ever thought about in his death. After he become dead, he become a martyr. A martyr.
Then listen to this.
A martyr.
I'm going to carry this other to you. When I was at Memphis, when the man got shot, I knew he was going to die because the talk on the street between the little black people that I knew, and the story is, we will take care of your family. From now on, they'll never want anything if you will be the martyr. And the story, when he went up, I have been to the mountain. I may never reach the other side. That was the idea.
Yeah.
I accept the damnation you're going to give me.
So he knew it was coming that day?
I think so, yes.
Oh, come on.
I believe it. I believe it. I was there. I was there.
You was at the hotel?
I went to the hotel after he was shot. I was in Memphis.
You was in Memphis, but you wasn't
On
right there at
Jefferson.
the hotel whenever it happened.
No. I was there when he's looting and carrying on and talked to the boy.
Well, you know what all that started over? A bunch of daggum people that was up against the city pertaining to garbage people.
That's right.
But, you know, that was a period of time whenever a lot of civil rights
Was brought up.
instability
You know,
was being raised
no
up.
matter what.
And don't you think to this day, now since you've gotten a little smarter and you've gotten a little wiser, that it was wrong for the white man to shove the black man down into a hole like that? And there's no doubt there's
Yes.
some mean black people
That
right
had-
down there
that had
in
slaves.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes.
But I guarantee you there's some sorry ass white people right here in
true.
Weakley County, son,
That's true.
that is just as sorry and just as rotten as
But
them people down there.
Yes.
So I don't look at color no
No,
more.
well,
I don't judge a person by its
the
color.
thing of-
I don't judge a book by its
the
cover
thing,
no
The
more.
thing that had risen up, the ideal that Martin Luther King had was to march peacefully, to try to stress a point. He was right in the point.
Yes.
But the thing of it is,
He was the messenger,
that's right.
and he was bringing forth the message.
But even his own people
Was against him.
Against him. And
Sure
still
they was.
But they're collecting money right now.
Sure they are.
And see, what I thought and what I will always think, there has been slaves since the beginning of time. Somebody has collected another tribe or something, and they have sold them. So what we got...
In essence, we're all slaves to
Yes.
society in some
Yes,
form
yeah.
or fashion.
And see-
Even if you're a wealthy, rich guy, you're
Yeah.
still a slave.
To something.
You're a slave to the slaves that's helping you produce what you got.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
The
Because if
best-
you don't take care of them, eventually they're going to walk off and go somewhere
Do
else.
you remember...
So you're a slave to them
Do you hear?
in that sense.
And there will never be...
But it's part of
There
being.
will never be a love nor a trust between a slave and a landlord ever. No matter what you say.
I don't believe that.
I don't. I do.
I don't believe that.
Why? Why would there be?
I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Because the black people that come off those boats out of Africa, whenever all that stuff started beginning over here in the 1800s, a lot of those people loved their slave owners. You know why they loved their slave owners? Because they knowed what it was like to live in Africa, and they appreciated their slave owners because their slave owners was good to them.
Some of
They
them, yes.
fed them, they took care of
There
them.
was also
they gave
black
them a
owners.
place. They gave them a place to live.
Yeah.
They gave them a place to bed
But-
down. They gave them a place to have a family and to have children. A lot of those slaves loved their slave owners.
But here's the thing.
Loved them. Would die for them.
Here's the thing. They did. They fought in the Civil War on the Confederate side. Some of them. More of them on the northern because they said this is a war of slavery. It was not. It was a war of states' rights. To own slaves or not.
So that contradicts your statement that
No,
you
it doesn't.
just made. Yes, it
No,
does.
no.
Because they did love their slave owners.
No. Now, I had two right down here that lived on the farm, and my forefathers had a woman and a man.
Well, now if they abused them and didn't take care
Wait a
of
minute,
them,
wait a
no
minute.
wonder
Well,
they didn't love
No, wait a
them.
minute. When they told them it's over, slavery has been abolished, they didn't want to leave. They begged to stay. The government told them, you got to go. Took them away from their love of land and person because they weren't whipped and abused. This woman that,
Did I ever tell you this story? This is a true story. This is a true story that I'm fixing to tell you.
This cabin deal, this Uncle Tom's cabin or whatever,
Yeah.
was a lie. Was never true. The woman, Harriet Beecher Stowe, never been in one.
Really?
But she wrote a good book. And it pertained and give a
Story.
story
Story
for
based.
them, to them to get to grab at. But see what it should have happened. They never teach history. Those people were not taken by white people. They were taken by their own tribes and sold
Yes.
to people on ships.
Yes, it was all about greed and money.
And for junk.
Yeah, for junk.
Okay, they brought them over here, carried
Well,
them
let me
north.
tell you a
carried them
story.
north,
Let me
see?
tell you a story, and I may have already done told you this story. And if I did, you'll probably remember me telling you this story. Whenever I was up here at school, I was in 6th grade. I was 14 years old.
Must have Miss Brock.
Yeah. And that was whenever Harvey McDaniel was still the president, still the principal out
Before he
here,
killed himself.
before he killed himself.
Yes, sir.
And my brother was supposed to stop and pick me up, Otis, because I had won 54 chickens in Dresden. I got lucky. They pulled my name, and I was going to win 50 Dominickers, and man, I was looking forward to that day. Well, it just so happens, Douglas, that was working at Goodyear, was on strike. I believe it was one of their first major strikes, if I'm not mistaken. This is 1976.
I was there.
Because I don't think Goodyear opened until 1972.
I was in Goodyear when they had their first strike, and when they dropped the helicopter with the air conditioner on the top of it. But I did not work for Goodyear. I worked for a vending operation inside of it, Greyhound Food Management.
What did they drop it intentionally?
No, they had it on a helicopter, and the thing come loose.
Really?
Yeah, you have to put
Did it hurt
cables.
anybody?
No.
Well, anyways, Douglas, my brother, that got killed right there in Sidonia, you probably remember whenever it happened. He hit that 806 International tractor. And we had to rush him to Memphis because he had a severe brain injury. Severe, because he wasn't wearing a helmet at the time. He'd been out on a country road doing some dirt climbing. He loved the country and stuff. And we'd done 3 EEGs on him back to back. And the swelling had cut off that main vein going into that brain, and it's basically become brain dead to the
Right.
point that he was on a machine.
Right. It's bad.
That's bad. So they called in my uncle, called in everybody. We decided to do one more EEG test just in case there was one remote living brain cell in his brain.
Right.
Because we
You don't wanna
was
leave.
fixing to make a decision towards pulling the plug.
Right.
And we did not want to pull the plug if there was a remote chance
Right.
that he could have lived and not been a vegetable all
Right.
his life.
Exactly.
Well, whenever the findings come back that he didn't have not one brain cell living, he was basically medically dead,
Yes.
other than a machine
Keeping him
using
alive.
his lungs and
Yes.
working his kidneys and
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
Because his main damage was in his head.
Yes.
We made the family decision of pulling the plug. At the age of 14, whenever I went into that hospital down there in Memphis, I went in as a boy, but I come out as a man
Decision.
because it was one of the hardest decisions that I'd ever had to make in my entire life. And to this day, still is. Still was. I have nothing to compare with the tremendous effect that had in my life at that time.
Well, decision.
But I remember after the machine shut off after he flatlined, all the family was all there, probably 25, 30 people in there, all the closest family. Ronnie Jean was in there, Ruth Helen, everybody was there. Some of Douglas Keith's friends was in there. We was all grieving, because it was we was going to miss him.
Yeah.
He was fixing to take off.
Yep.
Wasn't going to see him no more. I remember my dad standing there with Danny, my older brother. The doctor nudged for my dad to go outside. And I didn't go out there because I was too tore up. But Danny went ahead and followed Dad on out there to the hallway. And the doctor said, "Mr. Jackson, I don't mean to be rude, but your son, at the age of 19, was an organ donor. And if we don't hurry up and get this done with, pertaining to all this grieving, we're going to wind up losing a kidney or a liver, right, because we're going to have to hurry up and take him downstairs,
yeah,
to get the organs."
Harvest.
And my father stopped him. He said, "You wait just a minute." He said, "Let me ask you a question." The doctor said, "Okay." Now this is Danny's words, my older brother. Dad looked at that doctor. He goes, "Can you guarantee me that my son's organs are going to be placed back into a white person?" No. And Danny said that doctor turned about 2 shades of white. And he looked at my father and he said, "Mr. Jackson, not only can I not guarantee you that your son's organs won't be placed back into a white person, but I can't promise you that your son's organs will be placed back into an American person." Right. And my father looked at that doctor. He said, "Well, you're not getting my son's organs then."
Well, you see,
now that that goes beyond just bias, or that goes beyond just being prejudiced or discriminatory. Yes. And we knew at that time, whenever all the dust settled, talking about it 6 months later, after my brother had been put away, that my father had a deep, dark, internal sickness that went beyond most people's comprehension. And did you know that this day, the majority of the people down there in the Cydonia Hop-In community, along with Skull Bone and some of these other places around here, hold just as much hatred because one person is different than the other as they do today, as they did back then?
Well,
now you keep in mind, my father was born in 1926,
right,
and he was raised up to the point that he became a World War II drill sergeant during World War II. And us boys, we never was treated as boys. We was treated as grown men, yeah, growing up.
I understand that too. I can understand what he was saying.
But he was not going to let that doctor do that.
Well,
to his son.
He should never
intervene, and the doctor should have told him. The doctor should have set him straight and said, "Mr. Jackson, by law, I have to take your son's organs because your son was over 18 and this was his last and final wishes."
Right.
That's what the doctor should have done.
That's right.
But the doctor didn't do that. The doctor backed off.
Well, the reason for that, you have so many damn lawsuits, and that's a bad thing too. I hope
the doctor backed off.
If I die, if I can help anybody,
yes, sir,
repart skin,
yes,
you
sir,
need the skin, I would give it.
Yes,
I don't
sir,
care who it is. But I said the reason a lot of this thing, see, he's talking about those overseas. A lot of people over there used to send money, because their son needed one, and they would get it before we did.
Selling organs overseas is just as common as selling sweet corn over here.
That's exactly.
Gathering it up out of the field.
That's right.
They don't abide by our laws and by our rules like we do over here.
Like I said, we have the rights and the mentality, and we have cultivated that to an extent where those don't. Those people that squat over there and shit behind their shoes.
They're squatters. They're thieves, and as far as I'm concerned, they should be marked as being the same thing as the Taliban or the Jihad. They should be marked as being terrorists.
That's right.
Because they have stole every ideal that we've ever had. Yes. They have tried to manipulate the markets. Yep. They have tried to cut everybody's throat, yep, in wanting to produce all these different gizmos and gadgets for pennies on a dime.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, they have helped to contaminate the world.
This is the reason I say, even in our politics, the woman that wears the crap should not be there.
What woman? The doctor?
No, the woman in the Congress.
Oh, our speaker of the House.
No, she don't wear the outfit.
Oh, you talking about
AOC.
Yes.
Why should we have somebody like that?
I
It's
don't know.
protecting their rights. No, it's not.
I don't know.
They don't
I
believe
don't
in
know.
our
I don't know.
flag.
Why do we have people
Yeah.
that are from the Middle East that works in our military concentration installations?
Right.
But they do.
They don't need them.
I'm talking about people that go in there wearing turbans.
They don't need to be there.
But they do.
Just like that right there. If you cannot salute that flag, if you cannot say the prayer.
But there's
Allegiance.
a lot of people that come from other countries that do salute that flag.
But some of them don't.
Some of them don't. But if they don't, they're not working for us.
I don't want them here. If they can't do it, don't want them here. Send them back.
Well, we got some Americans that's like that.
They need to go somewhere too.
We got some hardcore hillbillies that are bullheaded like
I
that.
hadn't seen a one that wouldn't stand for the flag.
There's a few out there that's sicko.
seen that.
Yes, sir. They'll stand up. They'll be right there whenever they do all the riding and stuff. They'll grab up a swastika flag,
Well,
or they'll grab up a rebel flag, or
really
they'll
not.
grab up some other kind of thing.
Yeah.
But whenever it comes, they'll be some of the bunch that'll be one of the first ones. Look at all the ball players that burnt the
Yes.
flag and
Yes.
wouldn't bow and wouldn't give
And
a pledge
pay
of
them money to
allegiance.
see. And they
Huh?
need to go. They need to go. But see, here's the thing about that. Now you're talking about skinheads.
Yeah, skinheads.
When Nathan Bedford Forrest started the Ku Klux Klan, and he got out of it, and he wanted to disband it because of people like that got in it, and they are not.
Haters,
They're
hate mongers.
well. The bad thing, the most of the time, it's like at one time years ago at Sidonia. There's a fella come in there, and he lived right in there where the old barber shop used to be, back inside of Seymour's old house.
All right.
And when he lived there, he had a family. He come in there and he was a shithead. Did nothing. His family was starving. He had kids. Well, the churches went in and they give him food.
Okay.
And they tried to tell him to get a job. There's jobs over yonder at Martin, like for
Right.
like for a produce company.
Right.
All right. Well, I ain't working. They getting food. I said, yeah. So later on in the week, some people came by. Those that wore those sheets. And they left him some switches. And they said, you need to support your family. He wasn't black. He wasn't black. You need to support your family. The churches love you. They love your children.
But they don't love what you're
But
doing.
they don't love what you're doing. So
Right.
you need to get up off your butt and go to work.
See,
I'll just burn them switches. I make good kindling.
I think
It started good, but it's
when
bad.
I think another organization that started out good that went bad was the Night Riders over there
Yeah.
in Reelfoot
Yes.
that went around straightening out people's
That's right.
lives.
Exactly.
In other words, if you was a low life, if you didn't work,
Yep.
if you beat on your wife or beat on your children,
That's right. Didn't matter if you're black, red, yellow.
that's
pink.
right. They come to your house one time and gave you a warning.
You remember the star?
And the second time that they come, they didn't come giving you a warning, did they?
Come whoop your ass.
They come to whip your ass.
And
They
if that
tied
didn't
you to
work-
a tree, son, and they
really
wore
done that.
your ass out just like if you was a
Little kid.
little kid.
Only worse. That's what I'm saying.
They publicly shamed you.
That is
They
the good-
publicly shamed you.
But
A
the-
public shaming.
But they had to wear hoods and you remember the star.
I don't
It was
remember
like
the star.
It was a star on the uniform.
Was it?
Yeah.
What did the star
Look at it.
represent? Kind of like the sheriff's star?
Nope. Organizational star. It's like a lot of
Masonic
things.
Lodge star?
Sort of.
Really?
See, the Masonic Lodge was a aftermarket of some of those things. And I'm not saying they're good. My dad was a Mason, but I never did go,
Yeah.
you know. And it was a secret organization.
There's good and bad and everything.
Yeah, well, see, we got black Masons over here right now. And I didn't think there was any.
Oh, go to the bigger city. Go to Atlanta. My God, it's full of black
Well, that's what I'm
Masons.
saying. But it's the Freemasons or something they called it. And they joined because
But there's
of,
good and bad.
Well, I'm not
And,
saying that.
and you know what it's based on? It's based upon whether or not you got deep pockets or not.
Huh? It's based on what?
Based upon whether or not you got deep pockets, whether or not you're a predominant citizen in the community. But
Or-
the thing about it is, if you're in the right community, which in my eyes is the wrong community, just because you're a drug dealer don't mean that you should be looked upon as being a prominent citizen.
No.
But if you're in the right community in Atlanta,
you are.
you're looked upon as being a predominant
what I
citizen.
said.
And you got people in the Masons now that are nothing more than cold drug dealers.
True. That's what I'm saying. But see, at the beginning,
Because they got deep pockets. Well, how did they get the deep pockets? By
By
selling
robbing.
the drugs.
that's where the deal was. That's the way I see about the whole thing. You were, when you were a Mason, it was something
And
that
that's
you were
the part.
good.
And that's
You
the
were a
part that
builder.
has corrupted
You were a
the
builder.
organization.
You were an electrician.
But that's the part that has corrupted that organization.
Sure.
Between that and just stone cold people in there that don't have no empathy or sympathy for the working
There's a
man or the
right
poor
down the road
man.
here. And
And there are some good Masons. There really is.
I've got a coin in the house in 1909, like a penny. And it was a coin that you showed a person to show you were an organizational, besides the handshake
Yeah.
and the mark.
Yeah.
And I had it, and I told him, I said, now my dad had this for years and years. And I said, you know, he said, well, it's a Masonic coin. And I said, would you like to have it? He said, yes. Then he come back later, he says, no. He said, this was given to a family member, and he should stay with that family. He said, I look at it as a historic emblem.
I got another question.
Okay.
Did you ever know Mr. Old Man Wooten?
Who?
Old Man Wooten.
Wooten.
Wooten Chevrolet
Yeah.
Garage in Dresden.
I knew of him, yeah. Up he lived on highway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He must have been a prominent figure in this county.
I don't know that. He might have been in the Masonic organizations. He might have been. See, they
Because whenever I was working for Dresden up there, after I fell in 1979, my brother died in 76. I started hanging steel shortly after he died. And I started recuperating whenever I fell off that building. And then in 1983, I started piddling around with the auto body industry. And in 1988, I was actually living in Dresden, working at that body shop that used to be Bill's Body Shop, as you're leaving Dresden going towards McKenzie on the right hand side, after you pass the sheriff's office. No, maybe it was 40. No, it was just after you passed the sheriff's office, where the sheriff's office is now. Sheriff's office wasn't there then.
Right.
Sheriff's office is still at
There by
the
the
square.
factory.
But Jimmy Atkins was running it, that body shop, and he was a nephew to Old Man Wooten, because Wooten Chevrolet Garage was still running at that time, right there on that same road. Go past the Dairy Queen, be there on the right hand side, going towards McKenzie. 1989, I'd rented out a spot over here at WNK AM station, Union City. I think it was costing me about $35, maybe $37, maybe $42 for a 30-minute slot in between 8 o'clock and 8:30, which wasn't necessarily your favorite spot, but the more favorite of a spot that you get, the more you're going to pay for that slot.
Sure, it's prime time.
Prime time, right.
Yes, sir.
So I was doing okay. You know, I'd done already rented out 5 or 6 spots. And I'd done already talked twice. And the third time, after I went up there and started spreading my message, I went back to work Monday. And Jimmy Atkins comes up to me. He goes, let me ask you a question, boy. He goes, are you speaking up there at the WENK AM radio station towards preaching your message? I go, yes, sir, I sure am. I got a message to give to you. I go, okay, what is that? He goes, my second dad, which is my uncle, Mr. Wooten, told me to tell you that if you don't get off the airwaves, that you can seek employment elsewhere. And I stopped, and I thought, I didn't hear what I just thought I heard. And I looked at him and I said, Jimmy, can you repeat that? And he said the exact same thing the second time, and before he got it all out, I looked at him and I said, consider this my final notice. I'm no longer an employee working for you. But I was penalized and punished from the get-go. From 1989, from the time I started making those little 4 horsemen of those windmills, and I started putting the painted stuff down there in front of Victory Baptist Church.
Yes, sir.
I have been persecuted. I have been disfellowshipped from. I have been dehumanized. I have been demonized simply because of a group of people that did not like the message coming from the messenger.
That's it, right there. The message coming from the messenger.
And it wouldn't have mattered if I was green, yellow, purple.
Nope.
It wouldn't have mattered if I was educated or not educated.
Nope.
It wouldn't have mattered what side of the railroad tracks that I was raised up on. They did not like the message, and because they didn't like the message, they attacked the messenger. They've
Right.
done me basically the same way that they've done other prophets of God, and they've done Jesus Christ the same way.
That's right.
Now, I have not been put here. Once more, everybody, once they get a certain age, they want to feel like that their life had a purpose. That they, that they have been able to leave a mark, regardless whether it's lots of children, or have grandchildren,
Right.
or I've done something good for the school board,
Right.
or they're going to remember me because I worked for a construction outfit and they built a bridge in honor of me, or put my name on a certain sign, or a certain this, or a certain that. Everybody wants to be remembered for something good.
I built a church right over here. The only black church they got in town. I also built the recreation room across the road before the old church was tore out. I've never seen a thank you, kiss my ass, or whatever. My name is not on the building.
But you hear what I'm saying? Everybody, once they reach our age, they want to feel like that their life had a
Yeah.
purpose. And these people have tried to destroy my purpose, Ray.
Well, I'm going to have to run you off because I got to go to bed.
They have tried to destroy my calling and my purpose.
Don't doubt it.
Huh?
You ever said they wouldn't, did I?
But you know what? I'm not going to let them.
Well.
And that's what they're mad at, because I didn't take my tail and tuck it between my legs and run off like a scalded dog. I have stood my ground, and I'm going to continue to stand my ground,
That's what you
Ray.
got to do. That's life.
I'm going to continue to stand my ground, and if they don't like what I have to say, they can move on down the road.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
The keys for that car out yonder that just drove up. Come on, I'm going to escort you off. Come on.
Okay. What's that noise?
'Cause I got to go to... Keys.
I heard something back over there. You got a squirrel or a cat or something back over there? Look.
No, the dog came up here a while ago. He was out there for garbage. That little dog did down, and I saw them wrinkles.
Well, we've had a good conversation.
Yep. Well, we still, don't we?
And this isn't
Don't
the
we?
first time, absolutely. This isn't the first time that we've sat down and we've talked heart to heart.
And maybe it won't be the last.
Maybe, and I hope it ain't.
Maybe both of us.
I
will
hope
do
it ain't. But I didn't get your picture because I didn't feel like that you wanted to be recognized that way. But your voice is.
I don't know.
And the subject matter of what we've talked about will be remembered, because I'll put this on my Facebook and other people will dissect it. They'll listen to it and they'll come up with their own opinion about what we've talked about, whether or not it be good or bad, and let it go from there. You follow what I'm saying? But can you give me any advice if you knew that you was going to die tonight before you wake up in the morning? Can you give me any advice? And it's still recording. Can you give me any advice from one Christian brother to another of what do you feel like I should do next? Should I pack up and leave?
No.
Or should I just wait this thing out?
Wait it out. Like I say, people will, sooner or later, people will die out. Those that are
The resistors,
the resistors.
they'll die out
Haven't
eventually.
They? Haven't they?
They
A
are.
lot of them.
They are dying out.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So see, I'm not
And eventually there'll be a crop. It may be the millennials that'll take hold of this message.
Oh, yours maybe, but I'm not talking about theirs. 'Cause the
But-
millennials don't care.
But what I'm saying is eventually, and maybe this pandemic has fallen upon to the nations because of this, because of the hard-headedness, because of the resistance, because of the movement that has tried to stifle this message. I should have a congregation right now, just like Joel Osteen, of 40,000 or 50,000 plus people that is part of my congregation or part of my supporters. And because they did not like the message coming from the messenger, they steered away from me and they tried to mark me as me being the bad guy. And Ray, I'm not the bad guy, and I think you know that, don't you?
I hear you.
Huh?
Have I ever told you that?
I'm not the bad guy. I'm really not.
Later, man.
See ya.